Welcome to Drone Brothers Radio, where we explore the crossroads of drone innovation and the construction industry. Join us as we share insights, stories, and strategies shaping the future from the sky and the ground up.
Lauren, thank you for joining me today on Drone Brothers Radio. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on the show. So let's get started. If you want to give me a quick background of kind of who you are, company you work for, and then we'll get rolling.
Yeah, well, my name is Lauren Welsh. I've been working with Skanska for about 3.5 years right now. I'm currently an assistant project manager here. So I've been working on mostly higher education buildings. I've done 3 different projects in the DFW Metroplex area. And I started out as a civil engineer by training at Purdue University is where I graduated from. And before that, I actually started being interested in aerospace engineering, which is kind of funny, especially considering the whole drones getting involved in construction aspect. I kind of feel like I'm headed back home to the aerospace.
I thought we were off to a good start, but then you had to mention Purdue. I mean, I've got 2 kids that graduated in Michigan. I'm a Spartan. My wife's half Michigan, half Spartan. So I thought this was going to be smooth sailing, and then you had to bring up the P word on the call, but that's that's okay.
Spoiler up.
Yeah. So you graduated with aerospace. What was kind of your path to get started, and then what changed?
I thought I loved rockets and planes until I realized I'd be working on maybe one little nut or bolt for a rocket or a plane. And I really liked the tangible aspect of construction. I did an internship in construction, and I was able to kind of see that you get to be on site, you get to see what's going up progress-wise day to day, and that really piqued my interest. So I made the shift from aerospace into civil engineering from that point on. So
in your current role at Skanska, you're supporting the higher education projects. You're managing everything from kind of RFIs and submittals to owner coordination and kind of the VDC workflow. When a project is kind of running well, what does a successful day look like for you and your team?
I think the big word that I would boil it down to is alignment. There's so many people, moving parts, moving pieces, and making sure that everyone is aligned from the design side to the contractor side to the owner's side. For example, making sure that RFIs are coming back as quick as possible so that we can keep construction moving, making sure that submittals aren't going through many different revisions and that we're getting quality submittals and quality work done. And then also from the coordination aspect, making sure that we're going into coordination meetings and coming out with a resolution and something to actually move forward with. I find a lot of times you get stuck in coordination meetings and they're just documentation meetings instead of actually coming to a solution. And so I think that a good day would be going into all meetings and coming out with a resolution and a path forward.
Where do you see some of the biggest bottlenecks on projects, and kind of what approaches or technologies are helping? Are you big into AI? Skanska big into AI and all the latest technologies, or what's kind of your view on that?
We're getting there. I think that there's a little bit of a lag, I think, in construction in general. But I think one of the big bottlenecks that we have right now is kind of having informed decisions, making sure that when we present something to the owner, we have an issue going on, that the owner actually knows what the issue is and can make a decision that is informed. I think technology has played a big part in that and a big role. We're able to visually kind of show the client and the design team what's going on through, let's say, 360 photos if something's installed on site. Or if something's not yet installed, we use our VDC team and VDC coordination in order to kind of put up a picture so that they can see what it's going to look like at the end process at the end.
So you mentioned Drone Deploy and their 360 documentation. So you guys how long have you been using that tool for?
We've been using it since I started at Skanska. They've been using it since before then. But we've been ramping it up. Now it's kind of a requirement on all of our projects right now. that we are documenting using the 360 cameras. We do have a couple of drones that we're starting to use for like a weekly flyover for all of our projects. But that's a little bit more on a limited basis, just as we are kind of ramping up those technologies for our
Now,
projects.
when you say that the 360 cameras are kind of mandatory, is that being driven by your teams, or are the clients now getting to the point they're saying, oh, we're expecting these 360 captures to see what's going on? Who's driving that?
Right now, it's just internal. I think when we show a client that we are doing it, it is kind of an added bonus of, hey, this is like something cool that Skanska is doing. And it also, like I said, helps in some of those instances where they do need to make a decision, and we do have those photos available. And then they're also finding at the very end of a project, when we are closing out a job, we have those 360 captures so that they know what's behind a wall or what is above the ceiling, because we have already taken those photos. They don't have to go discover for themselves.
Nice. So prior to using the 360 technology and drone deploy 360 documentation, what changes does this bring to kind of your day-to-day workflow and on the job site compared to before you guys had this tool?
I think it just makes everything more visual. Instead of kind of having to describe or having to ask the client to put on boots and come on to the job site, we're able to do it right then and there when issues come up in the meetings. We have a weekly owners meeting, which is a good opportunity for us to kind of show and highlight any issues or decisions we need made. And most of the time that would require follow-up meetings before we would have these 360 photos. But now in that meeting, we can just pull them up and then they can actually make the decision right then and there, rather than having to wait another week to find a time that works for everyone.
And what's the cadence of doing the 360s? How often are you typically doing those on a job site?
It kind of depends on what the workload is, in all honesty, but weekly at minimum. I have been on projects where we've been able to do them every few days, and then some projects where progress might have been moving a little bit slower, and we wouldn't need to necessarily do them every single week, and we could get by with every other week. But weekly would be ideal for kind of progress documentation for sure.
All right. And two kind of follow-up questions. Who, in your opinion, who should own responsibility for this 360 capture? What's the kind of, should a project coordinator own this? Should a VDC person own this? Who should kind of own and drive that at a general contractor?
Honestly, whoever's available kind of works.
Okay.
But I've had field engineers kind of own this. I've also done it myself as a project engineer. We've had field admins that have taken responsibilities, and probably the easiest one would be an intern to be responsible for taking and capturing the photos. It's a good learning opportunity for everyone involved too. Usually
it's the intern, who's ever available can go out and actually walk around with the camera, put on a selfie stick or put on a hard hat. They're the ones that do the documentation. Is that do you find that a challenge that no one either has the time to do it or no one wants to do it, or that's not my responsibility, or I'm not going to look like a dork walking around with a camera on my hard hat and do this today? Yeah, you definitely get some of that pushback from the field guys who don't want to walk around with a camera on the top of their hard hat, that's for sure. Okay. But sometimes once they do realize that it is useful, or if they realize that no one's able to do it and they're trying to document it for progress or for some other claim that we have coming up potentially, then they'll start getting involved. But it is a challenge to get some people to want to do that. Who at a general contractor should be the one that finds this technology, researches it, knows how to use it, and then drives usage down to the field team? We have a VDC team at Skanska that kind of leads a lot of that technology aspect. And then also specific to Skanska, we have a community called the Emerging Tech Community. And that's a group of people, mostly people with VDC background or knowledge, that are able to
kind of document and push that home with the rest of the teams. And so those are the people that kind of take the original ownership for all of that.
Got it. Okay. Any examples you can share where kind of this has gotten you guys out of a bind, or you've had an issue that you had a dispute or some kind of contractor accountability issue that kind of would have turned into a really big, costly mistake or a larger issue? Anything come to mind as far as how this has gotten you guys out of some real trouble?
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, I didn't really believe in 360 photos until I had to deal with an issue on my own. I kind of threw them aside and didn't really pay much attention. One of our subcontractors recently came to us and were saying that there was some damage to their work that was installed. And we went back and we luckily had 360 photos of the previous trade who had already installed all of their work.
Okay.
And we were able to prove that, hey, they already were complete in this area. They did not go back and damage your work. They were out of the area. And so that definitely helped push along the schedule, first of all, and then also just helped us not have to go through a dispute, claims back and forth and trying to back charge one subcontractor for the other.
Yeah.
Because we did just easily pull up the documentation and get to show them visually that was not the case.
Okay. So it's interesting. So you're fresh out of college after a few years. You're young, and I would think be exposed to all this technology. And if you weren't a believer, what are you seeing as far as that must be get worse as you go up the food chain, as far as some of the older people that are truly not believers? Are we making a lot more believers out there because of all this reality capture?
Yeah, I believe in technology from like a general concept, but I kind of never understood why we did 360 photos. It just kind of felt like an extra step that I had to go out there with a camera on the top of my hard hat and walk around. And I felt goofy for it. But then once I saw what actually happened and that it was actually useful, that's when I believed it. And I think a lot of the kind of older generations in construction feel very similarly because they're just, I think, focused mostly on pushing the schedule forward. Their main goal is, I know how to do construction and I know how to do construction fast. This is maybe an extra step that might have some bugs that I have to resolve. And then once we are able to show them that those bugs have already really been worked out and there's not really many issues and it does make our lives much better, that's when they start buying in.
Any specific examples come up that we've kind of turned a skeptical superintendent or PM into oh my gosh, they're now starting to ask for this on every site?
I mean, the same project that I had just mentioned, that example where our subcontractor tried to back charge another subcontractor, that superintendent that I had, he didn't really push for the 360 photos. He wasn't really a believer, I guess, just like me. And that issue in itself kind of opened his eyes because he realized, we do actually need some more of these documentation pictures. And so after that, it was really funny how much he went from, it doesn't really matter if we get it once a month and we check the box, that'll be fine, to pushing everyone of drop everything. You're going to stay late if you need to stay late to make sure that we get these photos done.
Yeah.
Same thing for both of us.
Yeah, I'm having kind of an aha moment. We've been doing this for 13 years, and the aha moment I'm having right now is like the only real way that you can show people case studies, you can talk about examples of how other people are sick, but until a soup or a PM actually experiences this themselves, it's like you almost have to give it away for free for the first few times to get them to try it and see it. Until they can touch it and feel it and see it in their own world and their own job site, it's not a real thing to them. So
yeah, and I think that's the challenging part of most of technology kind of getting implemented into construction right now, is that you do kind of need to see it for yourself. I think kind of the same thing with VDC BIM coordination at the beginning of a project. The amount of times that I hear a superintendent say, oh, we've been building these buildings before VDC was around. Why do we need to do this? This is just extra work.
Yeah.
And then it's not until later on in the project when they realize that, oh, everything's been figured out beforehand. I don't need to figure it out now. My job's kind of been done for me beforehand. So
nice.
It does take the actual doing in order for it to work out.
Yep. So earlier in the conversation, you mentioned Skanska's got some kind of internal community that kind of around educating and for drones and VDC. And what's the name of that community?
It's called the Emerging Tech Community.
Okay.
So it's just kind of a group of people. It's we meet monthly, and it's just kind of where we share any lessons learned, any use cases that we've found of new technologies that we've brought in. It's also what I consider kind of like our incubator for new technologies. We're able to test them out in that group of people who are willing to help out. And then if it is something that we find useful, we'll roll it out into other projects. But it kind of always starts in that emerging tech community of people.
Are you involved in that yourself?
Yeah. Yep. So I've joined most of the calls and get to kind of listen in and see the new things. It's kind of what got me motivated to try to push for some more actual drone footage on my job site. We haven't quite gotten there yet, just because we need to get someone trained. But just by seeing what other people are doing on other projects and seeing how it's actually been useful, it's been definitely something that's been eye-opening.
How do the ideas get pushed down? So you guys have a monthly meeting. You all kind of come to an agreement that, oh, this is a really cool idea. How does that get pushed down to the field and communicate out to the field all these new tools?
So we have kind of a communication blast that goes out to the whole company when things do kind of become available for wider usage on projects. But most of it honestly starts just by word of mouth. If you hear about a new technology and you want to use it and try it out on your project and pilot it, Skanska's been very open and been willing to kind of try anything out on new projects.
Okay.
And so I've heard about a couple of different technologies when it comes to kind of procurement tracking that I've been working on. And that was, again, by word of mouth. And now I've been piloting it for the past couple of years, and it's gone well. And we're looking to potentially roll it out on other jobs. So it just it starts from, if you hear about it and want to try it, go give it a try, and we'll see how it goes.
Nice. We used to look ahead 3 to 5 years on stuff, but you can't even look that far ahead anymore with technologies. Let's look ahead 6 months to a year. What are you kind of most excited about, or what emerging technologies and workflows are you kind of most excited about for helping out with your construction teams and documenting the processes?
Honestly, a lot of the kind of drone technologies are the biggest thing right now that we're kind of focused on. You're able to do so much with drone and AI processes, and getting construction kind of streamlined a little bit. It is harder up front to kind of get those set up, but I think once you get the process and workflow set up, it'll make it easier.
Got it. All right. And last question, so based on your experience with all this technology, what's kind of one piece of advice you'd give out to project engineers, VDC, project coordinators, and field leaders kind of looking to bring more technology there? But what's one piece of advice you'd give out to everyone?
I think in general, just you can't ask enough questions. Asking people how they're doing things, because they may be doing it differently than you are. We did have a subcontractor who was also using 360 photos on our job site, and just asking them how they're using it for them being a subcontractor versus us as a contractor has been helpful in learning the different uses, because I only know as much as I know. And so unless someone else kind of opens my eyes to something new, I can't really push further a whole ton.
Anything else you want to add, or other thoughts you want to share about your role and career before we wrap up?
No, I have loved construction, and I think that construction's moving in a great direction, and got a lot of momentum, especially with kind of the data centers that have come up.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a great place to be right now.
So this has been fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to join.
Yeah.